There's a kind of pain that words can't grasp, that tear that flows silently when you're alone in your room in traffic or staring out the window. No one sees, no one asks, and even if they did, you wouldn't know how to explain. Because some pain lives so deep that not even we fully understand it. But you know what? The tears you shed today will be tomorrow's testimony, and that's not just a pretty phrase. It's a promise that God has engraved in your story. When you cry in secret, thinking you are completely alone, there is someone who catches every tear. Psalm 56:8 says, "You have counted my troubles, you have gathered my tears into your bottle. Are they not in your book?" God doesn't waste a single drop of your suffering. He's not a distant spectator. Every tear you shed has a purpose, a meaning you can't yet see, but which He is already transforming into something greater. Perhaps you're asking yourself, if God loves me, why am I going through this? It's a fair question, an honest one, and God isn't afraid of your questions. In fact, it was in the midst of tears that many of God's greatest servants discovered who He truly is. It wasn't at the party, it wasn't in the applause, it was in the valley, in the desert, in the darkness, that they found true light. Because you see, not every tear is synonymous with weakness. Sometimes crying is the bravest act you can do. It's recognizing that you're human, that you need help, that you can't do it alone. And when you break before God, that's exactly when He begins to rebuild you, not the way you were before, but in a stronger, deeper, more purposeful way. So, if you're crying today, know this: God is not absent. He is acting. And what seems like the end may just be the beginning of something you never imagined possible. But there are times when the pain isn't just silent, it screams. It hurts so much that you look around and realize no one understands. People go on with their lives as normal while you can barely breathe. And then comes that feeling of abandonment, of injustice. Why me? Why is this happening to me? And the hardest question of all, God, where are you? Let me tell you a story that may be closer to your own than you think. Joseph was 17 when his own brothers sold him into slavery. Imagine the scene. He was thrown into a dark well, without food or water, listening to his brothers bargaining for his life for a few silver coins. Then he was taken to a foreign country, far from everything he knew. He was wrongly accused of a crime he didn't commit and thrown into prison. Years passed, birthdays came and went, and nothing changed. Do you know what Joseph did at that time? He wept. The Bible doesn't hide this. But he also did something surprising. He continued serving God, even when it seemed God had forgotten him. In Potiphar's house, he was faithful. In prison, he helped other prisoners. He didn't know it, but God was writing something much bigger than he could see. Every tear of his, every night of solitude, every moment of injustice was being saved by God for a purpose that would change not only his life, but the life of an entire nation. And then, after years, the turning point came. Joseph was taken from prison and made the second most powerful man in Egypt. When his brothers appeared before him, desperate for food during the famine, he could have taken revenge. But do you know what Joseph said? "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good." Genesis 50:20. He understood God's purpose in suffering was greater than the pain. Joseph's tears became the testimony that saved thousands of lives. So when you feel the pain screaming and the world going silent, remember, God is at work in your pain. He is transforming every difficult moment into something you can't yet see, but that will make perfect sense when the time comes. Here's a truth that can change everything. Nothing you're experiencing is a waste in God's hands. Not that betrayal, not that loss, not that sleepless night, not that time you wanted to give up on everything. God collects every tear because He has a specific plan for each one, and that plan is good, even when you can't see it. Isaiah 61:3 gives us a beautiful promise. God wants to exchange our ashes for beauty, our mourning for the oil of joy, our spirit of heaviness for the garment of praise. See, He doesn't ignore the ashes, He doesn't deny the mourning, but He promises to transform all of this. It's as if God took the broken pieces of your life and created a beautiful mosaic full of meaning. Every piece has a place. Every tear has a purpose. Sometimes God uses pain to teach us things we would never learn in our comfort zone. Some people only discovered the true value of faith when they lost everything. Some people only understood God's love when they were completely broken. Pain has a strange way of clearing our vision. It removes distractions, removes the superfluous, and brings us face to face with what truly matters. Think about it. If you had never gone through this, would you be as close to God as you are now? Would your faith be as real, as deep? Probably not, because it's in tears that we grow spiritually. It's in the valley that we learn to truly trust. It's in the darkness that God's light shines brightest. What if I told you that the tears you think are signs of defeat could actually be the seeds of your greatest victory? There's one thing about God that we sometimes forget. He's not just our comforter, he's also our transformer. And transformation, my friend, hurts. Just as gold needs to pass through fire to be purified, our faith needs to be tested to be strengthened. 1 Peter 1:7 explains this, that the trial of your faith, being much more precious than of gold that perisheth, might be found unto praise and honor and glory at the appearing of Jesus Christ. When you're in the midst of a trial, it's hard to see this. You only feel the pain, the exhaustion, the urge to give up. But God sees beyond. He knows that on the other side of this pain lies a stronger, wiser, more Jesus-like version of you. And that's why He allows you to go through the fire. Not to destroy you, but to refine you. To strip away everything that isn't essential and reveal who you truly are. Consider the story of Job. He lost everything. His children, his possessions, his health. Sitting in the ashes, covered in sores, he questioned God. And God responded not with all the answers Job wanted, but with His presence. And in the end, Job said something incredible. I knew you only by hearsay, but now my eyes see you. Job 42:5. Pain led Job to a real encounter with God, and that changed everything. Oh, and while we're at it, let me take a quick break. If this message touches your heart, subscribe to the channel and like it, because the more people share this, the more lives will be impacted. And who knows, maybe your story of overcoming adversity will inspire someone who's about to give up. Let's spread hope together. Coming back. The truth is, God uses pain to teach us things about Himself that we would never learn otherwise. He teaches us that His grace is sufficient, that His strength is made perfect in weakness, that when we can't take it anymore, He holds us. And that lesson, my friend, is priceless. It's worth every tear. There's a moment in every journey of pain where you simply stop fighting and surrender. You don't give up, you surrender. They're different things. Giving up is losing hope. Surrendering is putting everything in God's hands and saying, I can't do it, but I know you can. And it's precisely at that point of surrender that something supernatural happens. When you truly pray, when you lay your broken heart before God without masks, without pretense, without trying to appear strong, His presence becomes real. You may not hear an audible voice. You may not see a sign in the sky, but you feel it. A peace that makes no sense amidst the chaos. A strength that doesn't come from within. A certainty that despite everything, everything will be okay. Isaiah 40:31 promises, but those who wait on the Lord will renew their strength. They will mount up with wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not faint. Do you see the key word? Wait. It's not standing still and despairing. It's trusting, even when all seems lost. It's believing that God is working behind the scenes, preparing something you can't yet see. And do you know what happens when you find this strength that comes from above? You begin to heal. Not magically, where everything is resolved overnight, but slowly, step by step, faith begins to restore itself. Your heart begins to open again. You realize you're still able to smile, to hope, to dream. The pain doesn't disappear completely, but it loses its power to dominate you. Because when God enters the equation, everything changes. The question is no longer, how will I survive this? But rather, what will God do through this? After the storm, there always comes calm. After the darkest night, a new day always dawns. And after the bitterest tears, a new hope always blossoms. Because God has a unique way of turning endings into beginnings. He takes what seemed broken and creates something new, something better, something full of purpose. Psalm 35 says something powerful. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. This isn't just a comforting phrase, it's a promise. There's a time for everything. There's a time to cry, yes, but there's also a time for victory. And when you get through the night of tears, trusting in God, the morning that comes is more beautiful than you could have imagined. Think of the biblical stories. David fleeing from Saul, hiding in caves, writing psalms of despair, but later crowned king. Paul imprisoned, beaten, shipwrecked, but later transforming the world with the gospel. The Samaritan woman rejected alone, but later leading an entire city to Jesus. Every story of victory began with tears. Every powerful testimony was born from a deep valley. And that means your tears aren't the end of the story. They're the beginning. They're the seeds God is planting in the soil of your life. And when the time comes to harvest, you'll look back and understand why everything had to happen the way it did. You'll see God's footprints in every step, even in those moments when you swore you were alone, because God turns pain into victory. He makes tears a blessing, and the tears you shed today are preparation for the testimony you will share tomorrow. Now let me tell you a truth you may not have realized yet. Everything you've been through wasn't just for you. It was also for someone who will need to hear your story. Because when God heals you, when He lifts you up, when He transforms your pain into victory, He creates a powerful testimony in you. And testimony, my friend, has the power to change lives. Think about how many people around you are going through similar pains. They're feeling alone, thinking no one understands, thinking about giving up. And then you come along with your story of overcoming. You tell how you cried, how you doubted, how you almost gave up. But you also tell how God held you, how He lifted you up, how He made the impossible happen. And suddenly, that person regains hope. 2 Corinthians 1:4 explains the purpose of this. God comforts us in all our troubles, so that we can comfort those in any trouble with the comfort we ourselves have received from God. Did you see? God comforts you not only to make you feel better, but also to become an instrument of comfort for others. Your pain gains a greater purpose. And do you know what the most powerful testimony is? It's not the one where everything was always perfect. It's the one where the person hit rock bottom and God pulled them out. It's the real, raw, honest story of someone who knew pain firsthand but also experienced God's power. This kind of testimony cannot be ignored. It touches hearts because it's true. So as you're being transformed, remember, God is preparing you to be a light in someone's darkness. Your story isn't just about you. It's about everyone God will reach through you. There comes a time in every journey of faith where you look back and simply can't believe it. How did I get here? How did God transform all that mess into something so beautiful? And the answer is simple, yet profound. Because the same God who allowed your tears is the God who is writing your victory. He never lost control. He always knew where He was going. Romans 8:28 promises, "We know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, who are the called according to His purpose." All things. Not just the good things, not just the things that make sense. All of them. Even the things that hurt you, that broke you, that made you question everything. God is using them for good, to shape you, to prepare you, to position you exactly where you need to be. And when God changes your story, He doesn't do it halfway. He doesn't abandon you halfway. He takes you all the way. He heals not only the visible wounds, but also the unseen ones. He restores not only what you've lost, but gives you new things you didn't even know you needed. He transforms not only your circumstances, but most importantly, you from within. The painful past now becomes a message of hope. The scars become medals, the tears become wisdom, and you realize you wouldn't go back even if you could. Because the person you are today, forged in fire, honed by pain, filled with God's presence, is someone who was only born because of everything you've been through. God makes all things new, and the story He's writing with your life will be so beautiful that you'll be moved to tears remembering where it all began. Now it's time to reveal something I promised you at the beginning, something that will make you see everything differently. Are you ready? Here it is. The miracle you've been waiting for won't happen despite the suffering. It will happen because of it. Yesterday's tears were preparation for today's miracle. Every moment of pain was a page written by God to generate a powerful testimony. Think of Lazarus. He fell ill and his sisters called Jesus, but Jesus delayed purposefully, and Lazarus died. 4 days passed. Martha and Mary wept, questioned, and didn't understand. But when Jesus arrived and raised Lazarus from the dead, it became one of the most powerful miracles ever recorded. Why? Because no one could deny it. The man had been dead for 4 days, and Jesus brought him back to life. Had Jesus arrived sooner, it would have been just a healing. But because he waited, because he allowed the pain, because he let the tears fall, the result was a miracle that impacted not only that family, but everyone who heard the story. John 11:4 records Jesus' words, "This sickness is not unto death, but for the glory of God, that the Son of God may be glorified thereby." And that's exactly what God is doing in your life. He's allowing something that at the moment seems impossible to bear. But it's because the miracle He's going to perform needs to be so great, so undeniable, so powerful that when it happens, no one will doubt it was God. Your story will glorify His name in a way a life without pain never could. God's purpose in suffering is not to destroy you, it is to prepare you for the miracle, and this miracle is closer than you think. So let's close this conversation the way it deserves to be closed, with hope, with faith, with the certainty that nothing you've experienced has been in vain. The tears you shed today are the soil where God is planting your testimony for tomorrow. Every drop has a purpose. Every moment of pain has meaning. And when you least expect it, something so beautiful will blossom that you'll even be surprised. The Bible says in Revelation 21:4, God will wipe away every tear from their eyes. There will be no more death or mourning or crying or pain, for the old order of things has passed away. This is the final destination of all who trust in God, a place where there are no more tears. But until then, while we are here, every tear you shed is being saved, treasured, and transformed by God into something eternal. So if you're crying today, don't hide it. Cry before God. Lay it all out before Him, because He's not afraid of your pain. He's not scared of your doubts. He doesn't walk away when you're broken. On the contrary, that's exactly when He comes closest. That's when He whispers, "I'm here, I've always been, and I'm going to turn this all into victory." And here's my invitation to you. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Leave a comment telling how God has worked in your life. Subscribe to the channel to continue receiving messages of hope, because together we are stronger, and your story could be exactly what someone needs to keep going. I'll close with Philippians 4:13, which sums it all up. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Everything. Not almost everything, everything, including enduring this pain, including overcoming this challenge, including transforming this mourning into testimony. Because strength doesn't come from you, it comes from God. And when He's in control, miracles happen. The tears you shed today will be tomorrow's testimony. God is transforming your pain into victory, and the best is yet to come. Believe in this. Amen.